more would get picked up with everybody always on camera, but you don't get a lot, which I don't know.
Maybe
Ghosts, I think they're aware of it.
They don't like video
shy.
games, maybe. They just don't like video games.
Yeah, well, that they
or
definitely
manga
don't.
or whatever. This guy
yeah, they're just refusing to participate in that guy's hobbies.
But there wasn't a lot of sound clips in this episode, but I did like this one from him, so let's hear a nice soundboard clip from that video.
Shit kind of scaring me, man. I'm kind of scared. I ain't gonna lie. What the fuck?
He sounds affable.
You got to qualify your fear to not seem like you're a coward. So he's only this is kind of scaring me. If you just say I'm scared, that's unacceptable. It's not, manly behavior. So yeah, this
shit kind of scaring me, man. I'm kind of scared. I ain't gonna lie. What the fuck?
Yeah, at least as far as some people's rubrics, you should be allowed to be scared. It's a normal feeling. How scared were you today, Brian?
I'm scared constantly. When I'm not being recorded, I'm just yelling into a pillow.
Well, you're kind of scared. You're kind of scared.
Kind of scaring me, man. What the fuck? But that guy's good. And yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of just paranormal activity. I was thinking that oh, I'm sure there's so much out there. Not really. That's kind of the best you're gonna get. This shit's kind of scaring me, kind of.
Oh, in the 7 years of recording the podcast, we only had like 3 or so true like paranormal glitches.
You're talking about the gin thing, right? When
well, kind of.
When you guys said gin, and then didn't it like the signal cut out or something in the middle of the podcast?
Yeah, there was that. There was something else that happened during an interview that freaked me out, but I forgot what it was. But yeah, I think like three or so times we had like a weird paranormal thing happen.
There was a reptilian growl, I think, one time.
Oh yeah, there was that.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that guy, yeah. And I was going to say, the only strange thing we've had happen is when we did interview Matt R., we had strange, I don't know if call it paranormal, more alien thing where strange messages were being sent from one of the host's phones to a guest that was going to be on the show later, and none of the hosts sent that message, and it was very strange.
Extremely weird.
It was not in any of our voices. I'll just say someone's phone sent a message to Raymond, who was coming on to play a game later, and asking him if he was up. Now, none of us would have asked if he was up because we knew it was Australia and it's 3 p.m, and we already told him when it was really weird. We have not figured out what that deal is, but that was during our Matt R. interview when that happened. I forgot about that. We still haven't figured out why that was sent. Raymond did receive it, and then it disappeared later, but it was on the phone of the host who sent it. And none of us sent it, and we don't understand it still. Weird.
Unexplainable.
But it was, yeah.
Australia. What you gonna do?
Yeah, well, I know. But let's talk about, we're going to get to our final one here. I'd like to talk about possibly the strangest video game, and that is the arcade game called Polybius. Have you ever heard of this game?
Ooh, yeah, a little bit.
A little bit? Well, good, because I want to read a story. In 1981, a cabinet game called Polybius arrived at a handful of arcades in the suburbs of Portland. The only known release from European country, Sinneschlossen, which means something like sense delete in German. Polybius was a puzzle game filled with mazes and logic puzzles. It was wildly popular, with gamers lining up to play it and sometimes even fighting over their spots in line. But many who played the game reported bizarre and troubling symptoms, including nausea, paranormal paranoia, amnesia, night terrors, and other psychological damage. At the end of the day, men in black would arrive at the arcades, but not to empty the Polybius machines of quarters. Instead, they'd download the mysterious data the game had collected from its players. The Polybius machines were removed from arcades in a month or so, and other than a few photos of the cabinets themselves, there is no trace of the game. Skeptics say that the Polybius story is based on an exaggeration and combination of a couple of real things, the fact that video games can cause seizure in epileptics, and the true story of a kid in Portland who played asteroids for 28 straight hours and developed a stomachache. The Polybius story spread wide enough to be featured on The Simpsons. Yeah, so
Wow.
This is a very mysterious arcade game that was only around for a month, and it's got everything. It's got it's got the Men in Black coming to get the information out of it. It's supposedly giving people amnesia and paranoia and night terrors, but the people that play it can't stop playing it. They're still lining up to play this game. Very, very strange story.
The one thing that's really, I guess, interesting to me is that Men in Black would come and check on the arcade during business hours, I'm assuming, for people to witness this. And, yeah,
right.
that's...
Yeah, but they have the little thing. They say, look into the light, and then they press the button, and then you forget everything. We've seen the movies. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I forgot.
It's the amnesia coming in. And yeah, it was featured on The Simpsons. There's a episode of Simpsons where their mall is falling apart and Bart ends up in an arcade and he's playing a game called Triangle Wars, but right next to him is the Polybius machine, and at the bottom of it says property of U.S. government. Yeah. So the writers knew about this.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they're on top of it always.
But I like this game. But a lot of people say that, some of the things that are brought up in the story are attributed to other things, like the paranoia about Berserk killing people. And like they said, a kid playing Asteroids for 28 straight hours and getting stomach ache. I can't believe that I've seen newspaper clippings of that story, that a kid got a stomach. He was trying to go for a world record, I think, but he drank too many Cokes.
Oh, that'll get you.
Shit, that'll do it. Yeah.
He needed a Pepto.
Yeah, what an idiot.
But some of the things that do line up is that Portland was used as the city that would be used to try out new games in, like games that weren't. Sometimes they would have like blank cabinets would be in this city. It was like a test market for games, and sometimes they would have a name that wouldn't be the name of the game when it would actually be released. It was truly a test market for games.
Oh yeah, market testing. Hell yeah. Yeah.
It's like kind of mess with fast food.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hardee's versus Carl's Jr.
Well,
that.
They put in there's like I forgot where it was. I think it's Kansas or something, where they'll bring in foods that aren't nationwide yet to test them to see if people like them. So they'll bring in like stuff. Like
they were eating that chicken taco before anyone else.
Yeah, I get really jealous about that. It's really super unfair. That because how are you going to judge the market based on that group of people? No offense to whoever lives out there, but I mean, how are you going to know unless you let everybody try it? Dang.
Look, they don't got a lot going for them. I heard they got a new tractor recently, so at least they can get some fast food before the rest of us.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's fair.
I don't know, but yeah, I like this Polybius game a lot. It's been recreated now in different ways, and here's a little sample of what the sounds of the gameplay, because they going off of reports that people that actually played it or claimed to have played it back in the day. Here's a little sample of what the gameplay sounds like. Wow.
Okay,
yeah,
I really hated that.
I don't know. I feel like playing more for some reason.
Oh, no, I can see why people went crazy. Like, I was about to tear these headphones off. I'm not exaggerating.
I've always wondered. I always wondered what the inside of a droid brothel sounded like, and I'm pretty sure that's it.
Can hear all the freaking viruses being spreaded.
Yeah, and at one point the game does get really trippy, and it looks like it is trying to mind control you, because it kind of looks like the tunnel of light from the Death Star. Like, that's just this tunnel of light just flashing in your face. It's really, really trippy. At least the recreated version of it.
Did you know that if you take that Polybius sound effect and you play it backwards, it sounds the same?
Really? Actually, that is kind of remarkable. Like, that's pretty hard to achieve. Exact, back and forth. Is that real, or did you just make that up?
No, that's absolutely real. It's part of the legend. Put it in there. This started off as a Portland urban legend, but the story got stranger in 2006 when a man named
2006, the year of Prey.
Oh wow, bringing it back.
We got to pray to make it today. But a man named Stephen Roach, posted this on a coinop.org, really popular website with the arcade crowd, message board. this man is from the Czech Republic or Russian, and my accent could never do this justice. Is anyone here can cover a Russian accent for me?
I have to say, I used to be able to do a Russian accent, and I am not sure if I can do it anymore. But
what?
I used to be able to do it. I'm better at French now. I've been practicing my French accent, and I think that has affected my Russian accent.
Maybe you should just you could try using your French accent instead.
Well, this guy's not French.
That makes no sense.
I mean, I could give it a shot.
Okay, let's hear.
All right. Hello, my name is Stephen Roach, who is primarily based in Czech Republic. Sinneschlossen was a company set up by myself and several other mainly amateur programmers in 1978 that worked on component parts for printed circuit boards that saw programming as a limited but very profitable sideline. We were approached around 1980 by a Southern American company that shall remain nameless for legal purposes to develop an idea they had for producing an arcade game with a puzzle element that centered around a new approach to video game graphics. They were very keen to gain an upper hand in what was already a very competitive market. So we were offered a staggering commission-based remuneration package to develop something special that utilized the technology. We developed the game in little more than 2 porta-cabins that were knocked together, where we spent many stressful mornings. Malek Vushek was the programmer who came up with the name Polybius. He had studied Greek mythology at Massachusetts University and came up with the name because it sounded quite bold and mysterious, which is what we wanted quite simply. The inspired graphics combined with the puzzle elements and scintillating gameplay was something to behold. We playtested it for hours and hours, and it certainly was an addictive game that was well loved professionally and recreationally by all that played it. We received heartening collated playtesting figures and were told that the game would receive a temporary, limited release, which buoyed us significantly, but shortly after, we received terrible news. A 13-year-old boy from the Lloyd district of Portland, Oregon, had suffered an epileptic fit while playing the game, only 6 days after the machines had literally been installed. One of the senior employees that I knew very well contacted me to tell me that it caused immense ripples of panic throughout the company. I'm running out of Steve here. We're of the opinion that they had created a monster as such. It may sound laughable now. Now I'm getting into French, so I'm gonna. But I'll do the rest in French.
Yeah.
It may sound laughable now, but please bear in mind this was 25 years ago when the video game industry was in its infancy. Every effort was made to withdraw the game from the public domain as quickly as possible, but the scaremongering was already out in force, and a lot of the children were queuing up daring their friends to play the supposedly nightmarish game. Company directors descended on the town to assess the situation, which may account for the reports of strange men in black suits hanging around, and the machines are often taken in daylight, causing minor but noticeable incidents. As far as I was made aware, only 7 machines were distributed around the area, and no other health-related incidents were reported. I heard off the record that the company made a one-off settlement to the boy's family, and no more was had. Apart from all the internet-based speculation and resulting paranoia, we disbanded Sinneschlossen shortly afterwards. Okay, so there you go. That was...
Bravo.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Practicing French.
Awesome.
I've been practicing.
Fantastic. Russ, don't ever make anybody read something that long. That was mean.
That is half the guy's post too. I cut so much out of it. I didn't realize how long it still was, but there's a lot in there. So this guy posted this in 2006, Year of Our Prey, and he's confirming he's confirming all the urban legend, and he's given backstory, and he's trying to explain what the strange men in black were. But this game story has it all. I love this story.
Yeah, and really, it's the accents sold me. I believe the story twice as much because I heard 2 times the accents.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I just heard from the guy himself, legit. That was great.
Yeah.
Well,
he got murdered halfway through.
He was from the Czech Republic. Even Roach was from the Czech Republic, but he actually had a French accent.
Okay.